Hello everyone, my name is Chris, and today we're going to be replacing the factory exhaust system on my 2017 Toyota Tacoma TRD Sport 4x4. It's a really simple install, should take no more than half an hour or so, depending on how rusted the bolts are. I'll walk you through the process of removing the factory exhaust system and installing the Stromung Catback Exhaust system. This exhaust system is the Tucker series, so it gives you high ground clearance when off-roading. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below, but in the meantime, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, here's a shot of the Stromung Catback Exhaust system. Stromung makes two different kinds available for the Toyota Tacoma. There's a full-length one where it exits on the passenger rear side of the rear bumper. And then they make this quote-unquote Tucker version where the exit, the exhaust exits before the rear axle, which basically gives you extra ground clearance at the rear bumper because you don't have a tailpipe sticking out at the end. This exhaust, I believe I paid about $450 or so for it on the Runnin4Tacos website. It's an excellent exhaust. I love this thing so much. It was super easy to install. The welds on this thing are absolutely beautiful. The hangers on the exhaust are really strong and are properly fitted for the vehicle. Now, in order to install the exhaust system, you're going to need a couple of tools. One recommendation would be this wire wheel on a drill. This will help you so you can basically knock off all of the rust that you'll find around all the exhaust bolts, because I can guarantee you your exhaust bolts are going to be rusted. It's just what happens to exhaust systems, but it's normal. But knocking off all the rust before you try to loosen the bolts will actually help you make the job easier. And so basically what we're going to do right now is remove the factory exhaust, and all there is two 14mm bolts at this exhaust flange here, and there's one on each side. And once you have those bolts out, the rest of the exhaust just hangs on 3 or 4 hangers. I believe 4 hangers. The first one will be in front of the muffler, and then you're going to have 2 more hangers, one on each side on the back side of the muffler. And then with the stock exhaust system, the last hanger that you'll find will actually be towards the passenger rear bumper area, past the rear axle. And once you get all of those hangers off and you get your 2 bolts out, then you'll be able to just snake the complete exhaust system out from underneath the vehicle. You don't have to raise it up on jack stands or anything. I did this all on the ground. Alright, so the first step obviously is going to be to unbolt the exhaust at the flange area. You can see where mine is extremely rusted. I did add some WD-40 to it and let it soak for about an hour. In addition to that, all you have to do, if you want to make it easy to remove the bolts, is get rid of the excess rust that's built up onto each side of the bolts. If you clean up the threads, it'll make it much easier for the bolt to come out of the exhaust flange, basically. And you'll want to make sure that you do this on both sides, and also, depending on how rusted your exhaust system is, you may want to go ahead and use a wire wheel to hit the head of the bolts as well, because they may have too much rust built up. And getting rid of as much rust as possible will make your job so much easier. The wire wheels you can usually buy somewhere at an auto parts store or a hardware store. I bought the wire wheel set for maybe like $10 at Harbor Freight. And then you just use a drill, attach it to the drill, and go to town basically. Now that the rust is all off, you'll want to go ahead and loosen both 14mm bolts. I have an extended ratchet, a 3/8 extended ratchet, to help give me more leverage, because since they're exhaust bolts, chances are you're going to need a lot more force in order to break those bolts loose. So an extended ratchet will give you that additional power you need, or additional leverage, in order to loosen the bolts basically. After I got them both loosened, I just basically finished the job with my impact driver. And yeah, it's pretty simple. Now, once you have both of the bolts out, all you have to do is basically remove the exhaust from all of the hangers. You'll have these rubber hangers on the exhaust. There's 4 in total on this stock exhaust and muffler. One's in front of the muffler, 2 help support the rear end of the muffler, 1 on each side of the rear end. And then the last hanger you're going to find towards the passenger rear bumper area to hold the tailpipe that's coming out at the back bumper area. Now you can buy an exhaust hanger tool to help remove the hangers for the exhaust, but I ended up just using a pry bar. And one extra tip to make your life a little easier, go ahead and use some WD-40 or silicone grease or some sort of penetrating oil on the hangers themselves, so that way it'll be much smoother in taking the exhaust off of the hangers. If they're dry, if you're trying to take them off of dry rubber, then it can give you a little more friction and become a little more difficult. So use some WD-40, shoot those hangers, and it'll make your life a whole bunch easier. So yeah, basically once you get the exhaust removed from all of the hangers, you'll just go ahead and snake the exhaust out from underneath the vehicle. You may have to twist it a little bit in order for the rear tailpipe to get over the rear axle, but I didn't even have to jack up the car. I just removed the exhaust, let it sit down, and sort of twisted it out of the area so I can remove it for the new Stromung exhaust system. Here's a side-by-side comparison of the stock exhaust and the Stromung Tucker series exhaust system. The Tucker series Stromung exhaust system I weighed beforehand, and it was about 19.5 pounds for this simple exhaust setup. And then I'm gonna go ahead and basically weigh the stock exhaust system to give you guys a comparison. The stock exhaust system actually was much heavier, as you can tell, obviously, at 27 pounds. So I basically saved 7.5 pounds by replacing the stock exhaust system with the Stromung Catback exhaust system. Now that we have the old exhaust off, now it's time to just hang the new exhaust on. You want to make sure if any of the hangers came with the stock exhaust to transfer it over to the Stromung exhaust system and reuse them to hang the exhaust onto the vehicle. You won't have to use reuse the 4th one, since you won't have a tailpipe near the passenger rear bumper area. You'll basically use just the 3 that help hold up the muffler of the exhaust. Once you have the exhaust hung, last thing you'll need to do is bolt it up. I do want to let you know that the tip of the exhaust, where the exhaust actually exits the muffler, Does come really close to the passenger side subframe, however it does not touch whatsoever. It's got 100% clearance where it hangs between the passenger side frame, not the subframe, sorry, the frame of the vehicle. It doesn't rattle at all. Going over bumps, I haven't found it to rattle yet as I've driven it, which is awesome. Again, I really love this exhaust. It's very stealth-like and gives you tons of clearance if you decide to go off-roading with the Toyota Tacoma. But yeah, all that's left to do now is to install the 14mm bolts to the exhaust flange, and once that's done, we're pretty much good to go. The exhaust didn't come with a gasket of any kind. It did look like the end of the exhaust flange was beveled to where it would basically seal between the two flanges of the stock exhaust system and then the Stromung Catback end piece. So no flange or gasket was really necessary. So yeah, basically now I'm going to go ahead and give you a little sample of what it sounds like, and it sounds terrific. Alright, now it's time to go get some gas and do a couple of runs. See how this exhaust sounds compared to the stock exhaust. Alright, that does it for this video. If you guys have any questions, again, make sure to leave them down in the comments below. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a like. Make sure to subscribe so you see all the future content that I release on this Toyota Tacoma. And in the meantime, I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.